So this week I'm going to be working on my VW buggy's electrical. So replacing the negative and positive cables, negative going to the transmission, positive going to the starter. And I've gotten some intermittent issues, so hopefully replacing the connections to the battery along with installing new cables will help get rid of those and allow me to actually get the lights turned on and start this. So let's go. Alright, so we got the new negative terminal hooked in, cleaned up. Use some dielectric grease on the connections here. Knock the rust off with a wire brush. Same thing on the positive side here, going to the starter here. And now that it's all working correctly, the problem I was having before was that when I activated the switch, none of these lights would turn on. So now you can see power, power, and power. So if we click the top one, lights to the top here on and off. The far left one, it's my front lights here, and then the right one allows me to actually start it. So I'm not going to push the button to start it right now because I just tested it, and as soon as I push that button, this thing started smoking like crazy. So you can see we got some junky connections going to our regulator here. And I'm gonna clean these up and hopefully we can then start this without having any issues. So you can see this is where the worst was, right here. So we'll clean that up, see what we can do, and go from there. So first thing I gotta do is follow this wire going to the ignition coil back to the front of the buggy. And right here you can see that it goes into a big loom of wires that are all electrically taped together. So I'm going to have to undo this electrical tape so I can get inside the box, locate which wire that is, and then replace it. Alright, so my camera died, but kind of fortunate there because we just had a small electrical fire. Well, not really a full-on fire, but we melted a few wires. So this was the wire that I rewired going back to my coil. And you can see it got a little hot and melted and grounded to the frame. And you can see it turned black in some spots and completely fried itself. And then if we come back here, so I just replaced it with this wire again. But if we look at this ground wire here, going to my distributor, that also got fried. And where a majority of the smoke came from when this all happened was this wire. Can't handle current, boom, roasted. So I just wrapped some electrical tape around it, but it completely melted the entire insulating jacket off of that. So yeah, not having the best luck with this electrical, but luckily I've got a few buddies who are smarter at this stuff than I am and know about this stuff a little bit better than I do. and I think we narrowed it down. So you see this puddle on the ground? It hasn't rained. It's not oil. I thought it was initially leaking out of this oil pressure inlet for the gauge, but that wasn't the case. And what actually was happening was my ignition coil was leaking. So apparently these older ignition coils are full of oil, and after talking to a guy who's familiar with these and testing the resistance between here, this coil is completely shot. So that is probably why this dead shorted and caused this to melt, this wire that I just replaced to melt, along with the wire on my points to melt as well. So because of all this, I am ordering a new point, and I'll show you guys how to set the gap on that. I'm ordering a new coil. I'm ordering new wire, and I'm also going to bypass this electrical nightmare here. So my thought going forward is I'm going to get a turnkey ignition and only connect the stuff that goes to the motor to get it started first. Gonna worry about all this stuff later. But in the meantime, since I can't mess with the electrical anymore because I don't want to completely ruin some of the stuff on here, I'm gonna at least get the tank taken off today, drain it, and start cleaning this up because I ordered a new petcock for the bottom of the tank, new hose, and a new inline filter. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so we got the tank out. It's a little dirty. I think I'm going to go ahead and Scotch-Brite this and try to give it some of that nice youthful shine back to it. But in the meantime, waiting to get my new points, new ignition coil, some bigger gauge wire going to the ignition. What else? Oh, yeah, so another thing was this was not plugged into anything, and apparently this goes to a indicator light that lets us know that this is working properly. So I've got a light coming for the alternator indicator light and one coming for the oil pressure light as well. So we should have a very simple wiring setup to get this running once I get those parts in. But in the meantime, we're gonna end this episode here. So like always, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. And especially with this build, let me know if there's anything that I should be doing to this buggy, or anything that you guys see that is blatantly wrong and I've just missed it, because I am by no means an expert. I'm a welder who likes to tinker around with motors. So let me know what's going on, and we'll see you in the next one.